Is ceannachar galteach é seo, agus ní creidim héin sa gúpla foclachas. Mar geallar sin ní labhraíonn mé ach í méar leháin ar na hócádaí seo. Ach mar geallar an dúbhlant atá idir glúisteach na poblachta agus an Gaeilge tá chun an nós sin na bhris an jobh. Cé bliain tar éis an éirí amach agus cogan na saoirse tá an Gaeilge i méalbás a ríist. Agus ní féidir linn an bhile na chur ar na sastig faoi sin. Tá sé amhlaigh mar gheall gur hep ar an rialtas is ar an pobl é a achrú. Ach an orid le éon tú na tíre, bí an tagart fuiblí de sláánú na Gaeilge ach is beag a tharlíonn nó dhéanamid faoi. Batha teanga í a labhart, agus má táid do riara faoi mac píris, mac donacha, cheant agus iad a land siad a calóra, cahamíd an teanga a álam is a úsáid. Comála sin cahamíd ceart na Gaeilge a chosint sa deisceart agus sa túisceart comá. Is Ibert an beagí sin I gomparád leis an Ibert a rinne ar sinsear ar nár son I rit na réabhlóide. My generation, who grew up in this part of Ireland, do not know real oppression or military occupation. And the reason why we do not know these things is because our forefathers did. And during the War of Independence, people like Sean Tracey, the Vice Commandant of the IRA's 3rd Tipperary Brigade, who did know these things, made a stand against them, risking their lives so that we might know liberty. As a historian, there is little I can tell you local people about Sean Tracey that you do not already know or that has not already been written about by my fellow historians. So I'm not going to speak today about the man so much as about the principles that he and his comrades fought and died for. Their achievements, their unity, sense of purpose and indomitable spirit forms a proud part of our heritage that deserve not only to be commemorated but celebrated. Their legacy belongs not just to us in Ireland but to the free men and women of the whole world, because their struggle set an example to others in India, in Palestine, in Kenya, in South Africa and further afield who took up arms against injustice and tyranny. The blow for freedom that was struck in Ireland a century ago is something that we should rightly be proud of, and we should not apologise for it when confronted by the small but influential clique trapped in a post-colonial mindset who tell us that as well as commemorating those who died for our freedom, that we should also honour the poor British soldiers who died fighting to deny the Irish people their rights. As a historian, I have travelled all over Britain, from Carnarvon to Edinburgh, from Oxford to London, researching the role of the British military in Ireland's War of Independence. And I have never seen a single war memorial there which honours British soldiers killed fighting in Ireland. So I ask, if the British don't even honour these soldiers, why should the Irish people be expected to do so? As we approach the centenary of the Solohead Bag ambush, revisionists like Stephen Collins, writing recently in the Irish Times, are scrambling to rewrite the history of the Royal Irish Constabulary by claiming that English Black and Tans were primarily responsible for the war crimes committed by that force, and that Irish RIC men were innocent and should be honoured by the Irish state. Let's be clear, there was not a single Black and Tan in Ireland in March of 1920 when Tomás McCurtain, the Mayor of Cork, was murdered in front of his family. And the truth is that Irish men in the RIC were responsible for some of the worst excesses of the force, and were not shy about using arson, terror, torture and murder against their fellow countrymen and countrywomen in defence of British rule in Ireland. There can be no ambiguity about this matter. The imperialism, the exploitation, the racism, the greed and religious sectarianism that the British Empire was built on was wrong. These things were wrong 100 years ago, they are wrong today, and they will always, always be wrong. And no amount of academic revisionism or distortion by political and media elites can change that fact. And when the British government made peaceful change in Ireland, violent revolution became inevitable. And what rights we enjoy here today were not bestowed on us by a benign monarch. They were not granted in the Speaker's chamber of the House of Commons, nor won on the battlefields of Europe. The struggle for the people's rights happened in the GPO, at Solohead Beg, at Knocklong, and on Talbot Street in Dublin, where Sean Tracey died fighting for the same cause. Through the long and pitiful history of Ireland and its Republican struggle, We have been encouraged always to remember the martyrs, people like Sean Tracey, the heroic deaths of the men and women who died for our freedom. But I say it is even more important to remember the ideas and the ideals that these martyrs died for than the martyrs themselves. Because people can fail, they can be caught and killed and forgotten, but worthwhile ideas will always endure and find new life. You cannot hold an idea in a prison cell. You cannot put a rope around the neck of an idea. You cannot line up ideas against a barrack wall and shoot them. Irish republicanism has always been about more than just securing independence for all 32 counties of Ireland. Irish republicanism is something far greater than fourth greenfield nationalism or shallow jingoistic patriotism. For over 200 years, the principles of Irish republicanism have endured because they are based on the reality that the people of Ireland alone have a right to decide their own destiny, and that no one who calls this island home is superior to any other because of their birth, class, or creed. And in a true republic, men and women would share power equally, not because of imposed gender quotas, but because that is what real equality demands. In a true republic, we would not outsource cervical cancer screening, condemning hundreds of women to death because our politicians thought that saving money was more important than saving women's lives. And in a true republic, our constitution would not state that a woman's place is in the home, but rather is in any place or position that she aspires to. In a true republic, there would be full separation of church and state. All of the children would be cherished equally, and no child would be denied access to education because of their parents' faith or lack of faith. And in a real republic, freedom of speech would not be stifled by a blasphemy law. In a real republic worthy of the name, tens of thousands of our fellow citizens would not live in fear of eviction, and no family would call a hotel room home. In a real republic, we would cherish physical manifestations of our revolutionary history like Moore Street in Dublin, instead of bulldozing them to make shopping centres. And in a real republic, we would acknowledge the sacrifices and ideals of those who struggled for our freedom by teaching our country's history, instead of removing history as a core subject from the secondary school syllabus. And unfortunately, that is not the Ireland and not the republic in which we live today. And if we are serious about commemorating Sean Tracey and his comrades, then all of us need to study their principles and work to bring about the republic that they fought and died for, and not to pay lip service to their memory, dusting it down every 50 or 100 years when a big anniversary looms. So Sinné, Inishagrive, Gramil Magif, thank you.